Goeiedag, ek is Elvira Hating en julle kuier vandag saam met my in die 67ste episode van Agri Monitor. In die nuusgesprek kyk ons vandag na 'n video deur die Namibia Biomass industriegroep, ook bekend as NUUSGESPREK, oor 'n Namibië se verbossingsprobleem en die geleenthede wat daarmee saamgaan. In die PLAAS TOE segment kyk ons dan nou na 'n hidroponiese stelsel. Nou hidroponika is 'n groenteverbouingsstelsel wat baie meer per vierkante meter produseer met baie minder water en dan nou ook baie min van chemikalieë soos insekdoders en bemesting gebruik maak. Verder dan ook kyk ons oudergewoonte na veilingspryse en die dagboek. Bly ingeskakel.
Funding part of it and the risk aspects that are related to the potato production is also
Good day everyone. Today we are going to talk about bush thickening. It is commonly known as bush encroachment. It is a serious problem in Namibia and it affects about 45 million hectares of land, which is roughly about half of the land surface area of Namibia. It is defined as the drastic increase in the indigenous woody plants at the expense of the grasses. So it causes an imbalance between woody and herbaceous plants or the grass plants. And in this way, it drastically reduces the grazing capacity and the livelihood of people are also going down because they are livestock farmers and their livestock depends more on the herbaceous component for food and not so much on the woody component, and that's why grazing capacities are going down. It further influences biodiversity and groundwater recharge. So in order to solve this bush thickening problem in Namibia, it is normally advisable to restore the rangelands through thinning practices. So farmers are normally venturing into thinning practices to restore the woody versus the herbaceous balance. And in this way, there are some wood becoming available, which is in the form of wood biomass or bush feed, or wood chips, which is available, which can be used in further value chains in the market, in the biomass industry. Since these products are available, it has become a business opportunity in Namibia, and it tends that people are over-harvesting nowadays, and therefore a biomass quantification tool was developed to ensure the sustainable harvesting of the biomass resource for the future of the Namibian rangelands and for the future of our livestock industry, because the woody plants and herbaceous plants within savannas, they have coexisted for many centuries and they sort of complement each other, and therefore by removing too much of one component, it causes an imbalance, and that's why the imbalance already started because of too much grass being removed and giving advantage to the woody plants. So if woody plants are removed, it sometimes gives rise to some alien invasive species and it becomes just more and more aggressive. So a more subtle approach has to be taken for the thinning of the biomass. So in order to harvest biomass sustainably, the bush biomass quantification tool was therefore developed. It is an easy to use tool and it can fairly accurately estimate biomass for the resource. Since I've just mentioned that the biomass has become business in Namibia, so it can be used for estimation of biomass beforehand in an objective and non-destructive manner. And in this way, business opportunities can be taken for the biomass available and how it should be used. The tool is easy to use and it can estimate biomass in the form of wood and bush feed. Wood would be normally the branches thicker than 2 centimeters, and bush feed will be all the branches smaller than 2 centimeters and all the leaves. What the biomass estimation tool can do for you, it's amongst others, it is estimating wood total and through thinning, and then bush feed total and through thinning, And then it's also telling you a number of things like size classes, species composition, what is the biomass contribution of each plant species in terms of bush feed and wood. And of all of these things can be seen in other videos coming, which is following this video. And before that, a bit of field work should be done so that you get actually the data that has to be entered into the model. And in that way, you are getting an overall biomass quantification report that can be used for business ventures and for scientific reports and for scientific studies and so on. So it's a tool developed for the science world and for the business world. Today is fieldwork day. We are going to collect field data for inputting into the biomass quantification tool for us to get results on how much biomass the area has. What is always important before you do biomass quantification is to set out the representative sites of the entire landscape area, so that you can have an overall picture of the entire landscape area and have representative sites that will include all variation in vegetation types for you to have at the end of the day an average biomass quantification of the area. So today, what we are here now, we have already chosen a representative site of the study area, not actually of the study area, but of the overall landscape area. And so what is going to be doing next is we are going to have our transect laid out in a representative direction. Whenever I say representative, I mean you have to look at the overall geology of the area, look at the overall field of the area, and that is now on the landscape area. Whenever you get to the site, you have to look at the vegetation of the area, see that you don't catch a clump of vegetation and also not bare areas of the vegetation. It has to move through the general structure of the vegetation, and that's how you have a representative direction on your study area. What is now next? I'm just going to take you through important plants, like for example protected species. Those ones are normally not to be recorded, not to be surveyed, but you can record them because they are not to be harvested. So we would like to have them count as species composition, but not as biomass quantification. Also, when it comes to bigger trees, those are also the ones that are to be recorded, but normally it shouldn't be counting as biomass quantification. That's why we just record them without measuring them. So what is going to be happening next now is we'll be setting out the transect in a representative direction, and then we'll start with the field work by means of measuring plants, and that's what the survey is all about for this exercise. So me and Petrus, we just worked the site, and we have a representative direction now from this representative point of the overall landscape area. So we are just going to set out the transect now, and we are going to start with the field measurements of the plants. We have laid out now the transect in a representative direction on the representative study site or survey site of the bigger landscape area. So now we are busy with field work, with field measurements now. Now we have got the 50-meter line laid out, and we are going to use a normal dumpy level measure to do our plant measurements. We are going to work in the 50 by 2.5 meter belt transect. I'm just going to go through the three measurements now, the three measurements. Normally there's an option of measuring tree height only. So the tree height only for this one would be 0.9. Whenever it comes to, then there's another measurement option which is canopy diameter only. So in this case, the canopy diameter will be 1.3. And there will be another option of measuring stem diameter. So in this case, it's less than 0.1, the stem diameter. Those are the different options that we have. And we also have a last option of height where canopy is the broadest. So this would be your tree height, And this would be your height where canopy is broadest. So that's 0.6 is the height where the canopy is broadest. So those are the different measurements. And if you go back to the model, you can see that each of these measurements, they have got different accuracies. And there are also some combinations of these measurements, whether you use them alone or in combination. So the choice is yours. So whatever is comfortable for you, that's what you're going to measure. So in this case, I'm going to measure the option which involves tree height where canopy is the broadest, and the canopy diameter. So I'm going to start off this plant, and my colleague Petrus will record all the recordings of the plant. So I'm going to start now with the field work. Just choose either microphyllus or other broadleaf. So in this case, this will be another microphyllus plant because it's an acacia small leaf plant. A broadleaf plants will be, and so on, these are the broadleaf plants. So kicking off with the measurements. Tree height 0.9, canopy diameter is 1.1, and that's it now for the first plant. 0.8, height where canopy is the broadest 0.5, canopy diameter 0.7. Now we are moving on with the transect. This is a protective spacing, so I just like you to write Bosque albitranca, and we are not going to measure this one because we don't want it to contribute.
Hydroponics seems to hold much promise for the future, especially when it comes to urban farming. Now, hydro what, you may ask? Hydroponics is the process of growing plants in sand, gravel or liquid with added nutrients, but without soil. It is the latest buzz. There are many advantages in using a hydroponic system for crop production. Firstly, it uses water up to 90% more effective or efficient than traditional crop production, which is done in soil. Also, your yield per square meter can increase 3 to 10-fold. Many crops can also be produced twice as fast in a well-maintained hydroponic system. And even if the soil and climate in your area is not suitable for crop production in general, hydroponics seems to be the solution. That is because the system can be used indoors where climates are controlled artificially, and also in this system soil is not a factor. Also, mostly no chemical, weed or pest control products are needed in a hydroponic system. Now, of course, there's always also some downsides. The system needs a bit of electricity. It can be expensive to set up initially, and you should always be on the lookout for waterborne diseases. Interested but not sure whether hydroponics is for you? I decided to test this out without investing a lot of money. Over the past months, we built a small 24-plant hydroponic system. Now, this was done mostly with items I had at home already. Just something temporary to test this out. Let me show you how. Firstly, I collected some old plastic bottles. I bought cheap plastic party cups. Get a pen and a paper and cut out a circle which is a little smaller than the opening of the plastic cups. Use the paper circles to draw 2 circles with a permanent marker at the ends of each of the plastic bottles. Cut it out or melt out the circles with a hot soldering iron. Be careful not to burn yourself. You need to make a hole at the bottom of the bottle, also for the pipe fitting to fit through. Try to get a nice fit as you do not want your system to leak. Tiny leaks can be fixed with silicone. You will need a stand of some sort. I was lucky to have some help with this. When building or selecting a stand, keep your water pump in mind as most small pumps are limited to what height they can pump water. My stand was made of items that I had at home already. As you can see, old wooden poles. The idea is just to test the system. Once your stand is completed and you are done assembling all of your bottles, assemble them with your pipes on your stand. Connect your pump, fill your reservoir with water and start a pump to test it out for the first time. This is a good time to check for any leaks. Better to fix it right away. Now for the small party cups, they need holes and a lot of it. Your plant's roots will find their way through these holes into the water. I used the soldering iron to burn many holes into the cups, also to burn holes underneath the cups. Put in your cups to see if their bottoms are reaching into the water. Just about 5 mm to 1 cm is enough. Mine did not reach the water sufficiently, so I had to make the holes in the bottles a bit bigger for the cups to fit deeper. I prepared some tomato seedlings about 6 weeks beforehand. Apparently, tomatoes is a great crop to start with as it grows easily and is hardy. I planted them in palm peat from the get-go. This palm peat can be used within your system. Remove your seedlings and transfer them into little plastic cups. This is how I planted them in the cups. Alternatively, I might have just put them in the cups with the original palm peat coming from the seedling trays. It wasn't necessary to remove them. just making sure my water pump is still running well before adding some organic plant food. Mostly you need to add plant food once a month, but this depends on the type of fertilizer you use as well as the plants that you are growing. Follow the manufacturer's instructions. Shading is important. Now already I can share some lessons I learned in the process with you. Firstly, I discovered that my plants are too close together. Depending on what crop you are producing, strive for your plants to be at least 30 to 40 centimeters apart from one another. Also, another lesson, watch out for sunlight as it can make algae grow within your system. Now, firstly, your reservoir should not be see-through. Sunlight should not reach your water. Secondly, if your system will not be getting a lot of shade, in other words, if it's grown outside or without a shading net, consider painting your bottles with paint. You can usually people use white or grey. Otherwise, you can use 2-liter milk bottles, which is not see-through from the get-go. Also, this is of course not a problem if your system is being used inside in an artificially controlled environment with artificial lighting. Also, remember that this is a temporary hydroponics system. I think in the long run, if you decide you would like to practice hydroponics, it will be advisable to replace this with a more durable system.
Go far with PLAAS. Go further with PLAAS Fiber. PLAAS offering high-speed, reliable fiber connectivity, starting from only 599 Namibian dollars per month. Unlimit your lifestyle and visit na.plaaas.africa for more information.
Always prepared. PLAAS.
Wat dan nou die komende dae se veilings betref, op 20 April hou Windhoek Livestock Auctioneers op Kalkrand 'n groot veeveiling, Karoo Oes hou op Reebot 'n groot veeveiling, die NLA hou op Mariental 'n groot veeveiling en Agri hou dan nou veilings op Aranos, Grootfontein en Windhoek dan die BXB Elite veiling wat plaasvind. Op 22 April hou Agri veilings op Gobabis, Mariental en Otjiwarongo en op 21 April hou Windhoek Livestock Auctioneers 'n groot veeveiling op Windhoek. Namboer hou ook in Windhoek 'n losgoedveiling op dieselfde dag en LA op Kaiko se veiling, Blouberg op Otjiwarongo en Agri op dieselfde dag by Helmeringhausen en in Windhoek. Op 23 April hou Windhoek Livestock Auctioneers 'n kleinveeveiling op Reebot en Namboer 'n pluimveeveiling in Windhoek. Die NLA's op dieselfde dag op Monica en Agri op Namatubas en in Windhoek. Wat dan nou van dese week se dagboek betref, vanaf 21 tot 23 April hou Grootfontein Boerevereniging die Agri Extra Konvensie, op 30 April hou Kana Boerevereniging 'n skiedag en op 1 Junie bied die Westelike Kommas Boerevereniging hul ledevergadering aan. Nou ja, dit vind in die Harmonie Boerevereniging saal plaas. Op 26 April hou Summerdown Boerevereniging ook hul ledevergadering. Op 25 en 26 Mei hou Aus Boerevereniging 'n winterskool. Die tema vanjaar is Leef die woestyn. Ons volstaande nou by verlede week se vleispryse. Abattoirs grade A, A, B en B. By Meatco op Windhoek waarvoor dan nou 59 Namibiese dollar per kilogram betaal is en by Beefcore Okahanja 60 Namibiese dollar. C-grade dan nou 59 Namibiese dollar by alle abattoirs. Veilingspryse, tollies wat dan nou ook vir $38.16 per kilogram gegaan het, verse $35.96, stoorosse, stoorverse onderskeidelik $31.74 en $32.41. Slagosse $30.65 per kilogram, slagverse $29.88 per kilogram. Koeie, dis dan nou van maar tot vet, vir $24.52 tot $30.79 per kilogram. Slagbulle $29.21 en 'n koeie met kalwers $14.633 Namibiese dollar. Slagskaap, 'n dorpers dan nou vir $33.76, vetsterte ook steeds skape $34.08. Bokke dan nou vir $1,217. Dit is vir die week van 4 April. Dit is dan nou waarvoor ons vandag tyd het. Ons hoop julle het dit geniet. Volgende week maak ons weer so. Bly ingeskakel.